Hi, welcome to Providence Prairie. I'm Stacy and today we are making Swedish pancakes. So, little backstory, my family, actually my ancestors are from Lindsborg, Kansas, where they settled in the 1800s, and my grandmother passed down this Swedish pancake recipe through the years to all of our family, and it's been a staple in our family. Since I was a small child, I remember Swedish pancakes on every morning when I would stay the night at her house. That's what she would make for us. So I am excited to share this recipe with you, and not only because it's just yummy. I don't know what to do with you. You need to stop. I've been trying to record this over and over, and my dog won't stop barking, scratching, whining, trying to play ball with me. Okay, and I think this is just going to be an ongoing thing on my YouTube channel because she's usually with me and she usually is harassing me to play ball with her. So I'm not even going to fight it. If it bothers you, then I'm sorry, but she will be part of my show. So, or my channel, channel, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to make these not only because they're just yummy and they have sentimental meaning to me, but also because they're cheap. They're cheap to make. What are the ingredients? The ingredients are eggs, milk, salt, butter, vanilla extract, flour, and that's it. Like, that's literally all that you put in these, and they are so good. So I feel like this is something that you could make ahead of time. I do this all the time. I'll make it on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning for my family, and then I'll make a double batch, and then we'll have pancakes throughout the week so that we can just throw them in the microwave or heat them up in the skillet. The other thing is that right now with the price of things, I was doing a cost comparison even of just frozen pancakes. So if you bought a box of, say, Krusty's frozen pancakes, you're looking at around $6 depending on what store you buy them from and what part of the country you're in. And that's for $6. I think that was for 24 pancakes. And those pancakes are not, you know, ginormous pancakes. So that's quite a cost. When I broke it down to make even regular pancakes, you're looking at about $1.30 cost when you factor in your flour and your egg and your milk and your butter. Butter is expensive right now. Eggs are expensive right now. You can substitute like a vegetable oil or a coconut oil, depending on what you have on hand for the butter, which is sometimes, like if you're using a canola oil, that's probably going to be cheaper by the ounce than butter is. But we like to use butter because I feel like we're trying to move away from the seed oil, so we might use butter or we might use coconut oil. So today we're going to use butter. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started, and then we'll chit chat along the way because I'm a chit chatter and I like to chit chat. And I'm a little, stiff right now because this is my very first video. Besides my intro video, which you can go back and look at if you'd like to know a little bit about our backstory and who we are and why we're here. But let's for now get started talking about these pancakes. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our 2 eggs, and I have 2 farm fresh eggs here, and any eggs will do. They don't have to be farm fresh, obviously. And we're going to put our eggs, we don't want that little hair in there, do we? No, we don't. We're going to put our eggs in there, and then look at those eggs. Those are so beautiful. Those are nice looking eggs. I love our farm fresh eggs. We just actually processed 8 roosters. We had let's see, 2 eggs, and then we're going to add 1 cup of our milk to our recipe. It calls for 2 cups, but we're only adding 1 cup at this point. So let's add in 1 cup. And it doesn't have to be exact, do the best you can to get as close as you can. Okay, that's about a cup. And then we're just gonna whip these around in here, mix them up really nice. Yeah, so we had incubated our own chickens, little chicks, this past spring, and one of the caveats of incubating your own chicks is that you get roosters. And so we had 8 roosters. They were like a street gang wandering around the farm here and harassing the hens so much. It was horrible. So they finally got to the size where we felt like it was a good time in that space. There's a certain space where you want to process them where their meat is still tastes good and it doesn't get too tough. And so we finally got to that point, and so we processed them just this past week. So, but we still have our wonderful hens. Now, my butter is a little bit frozen, but even if it wasn't frozen, I would still just pop it in the microwave. And if you don't use a microwave, just pop it in a little pan and melt it down a little bit. And so you're going to use 2 tablespoons of butter, or if you'd rather, you can use 2 tablespoons of canola oil or coconut oil or vegetable oil, whatever it is that you have on hand. I like to use the butter, like I said, because we're trying to get away from the seed oils. So let me pop this in the microwave real quick, and then we will have that ready to go. So to that, we are going to add half a teaspoon of salt. So here's my teaspoons. Half a teaspoon of salt, and it can be any salt. This happens to me to be the Redmond salt, which I enjoy. So we put a half teaspoon of salt in there, and then we put our milk, and here is our 2 tablespoons of butter that we're going to add to that. There we go. And then we need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and Grandma always put a little bit extra vanilla extract. She loved vanilla extract. I love vanilla extract too. Baby 9, but there is our teaspoon of that. And we're just gonna whip that around a bit for a second. Okay, then we're going to add 1.5 cups of flour to that. Let's get my coffee out of the way here. There's 1, and a half. So we got 1.5 cups of flour. And then I like to set my whisk aside at this point and use one of my wooden spoons. This is my favorite one, but I like to use one of my wooden spoons, or any spoon that you have will work. Get that nice and mixed together. Because I know when you're making regular pancakes, we like to call them mountain pancakes because we make them really big. And we make them huge when we go camping. We make big ones like that, and everybody just gets one giant pancake. And I know you want some of those lumps in there when you're making the regular pancakes. But this is not like a regular pancake. You want to get all those lumps out as much as you can. And so do that on this part as much as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to add our other cup of milk. Okay. know what I forgot? Because I just saw it sitting here. We forgot our sugar. With all the chaos with the dogs, I forgot to put our sugar in. I usually put, I mean, you can put between 1 and 2 tablespoons of sugar in here, whatever you like. I mean, when you add in the fruit or the syrup or whatever it is that you're going to use, you know, I usually don't add a lot of sugar, but you can if you think you want a little bit more. I do 1 tablespoon, but you could do 2 if you want to. I won't tell anybody if you decide you want to. Okay, so then we get this nice and broken down here. This is going to be just really, this is the consistency that you're looking for. Okay, so it's much thinner than what you're going to have with a traditional pancake. And some people call these crepes, some people call them Swedish pancakes. There may be other names that people use for them, but you get all those lumps worked out, and then, you know, Grandma always said to let it sit for a little while and let it kind of set up. Not necessary, we're all busy, we all got stuff to do. So if you have time to do that, you can just set it aside maybe while you're preparing, if you're going to do a breakfast meat to go along with it, or if you're going to make some homemade blueberry jam or syrup for it. And you know what, maybe we'll go ahead and I will talk about how you can do that as well and show you a really simple, quick way to use frozen berries just to make a really yummy kind of jam to go. It's not jam, actually, it's like a syrup. It's just sugar and frozen berries. And so we'll do that as well. Okay, so let's get to the stove. Getting hot. While that warms up, I'll tell you that you can use canola oil or olive oil or any kind of oil in a spray that you want to use just to spray your pan. Every couple of pancakes, it doesn't usually take a spray between each pancake, but every couple of pancakes you might want to do a quick little spray. And I usually just use a measuring cup in the batter to put that in, scoop that up, and then pour it into your pan. You can hear that sizzling, so you know it's ready. And then you just want to twirl this around a little bit. Just kind of move it around. I put a little too much for the size of this pan. You want them pretty thin. So you do that until it evens out a little bit. And then as the pancake starts to be ready to turn, you're going to see little bubbles coming up. You can see we're starting to get a little bubbles here and there. So now what I do is once the bubbles start, I just kind of go around the edge. Don't get too carried away. I just start going around the edge, usually just a half moon on one side, and then go underneath and flip it. And you can see I didn't flip it too good, but that's basically what you want. Push it back down in there. All right, and I mean, if you have numbers on your stove, I guess I'm at around 7.5 or 8 is where I'm cooking at the moment. Okay, so that's going to be great. So now we're going to throw that on the plate and cover it up with the towel so it stays nice and warm. Now we're going to move on and we're going to do the syrup. So I just buy the Great Value, or if I'm at Costco, then I buy the Costco. But recently I haven't been to Costco because it's 4 hours away. So this is what we got. We got to make do with what we have out here on the prairie because we can't always get all the things. So my family loves when I make homemade syrup, jam, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to turn it down a little bit because these are frozen. So what I usually do is I pour that in there, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of water as it's kind of breaking down. So I have a little bit of water here. I'm not going to add too much because it's going to have its own juice as soon as it starts to melt a bit. So grab a spoon. Right. So just kind of break them up in there. I have it on medium high heat. Medium to medium high is good. And I only make enough because unless I'm going to preserve some of this, but I'm not doing that right now, I'm making enough that we can eat it within a week or so. And although it looks like, wow, that's gonna be a lot, it's really not once it cooks down, and we love this stuff around here. So they eat it on the homemade bread that we make in the bread maker, or they might have it on their pancakes or toast in the morning, or they might have it on as a topping on some homemade ice cream or even store-bought ice cream. And actually, last time, I know that's not what this is for, but I had one of these things, which is to cut butter in, I think. I don't use this, but I have it. This actually chopped up the berries really nice too. So, or you can use just your regular potato masher. Okay, so this is starting to get softer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to already start adding some sugar into that. And you know what? I don't really measure it. It depends on how much berries you like and how sweet you like it. Like, you may not like it that sweet, or you might really like it sweet. So it's really to taste, but you do want to put sugar in here for this particular way of doing it, because it is what makes it taste so good. Okay, so we've added a little bit of sugar. That was a lot of sugar, but I'm gonna let this kind of sit and stew for a minute, and then I'll taste it after I mash down those strawberries and see if we have to add a little bit more. Okay, you can see this is all broken down and looking amazing. Looks good. Exactly what we want. Thank you for joining me in the farmhouse today. I hope that you had, I hope that you enjoyed making the Swedish pancakes, and I hope you'll give it a try because it really is so easy, and the recipe doesn't cost anything to make, and your family will love it, and it could become your family's tradition as well. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next